Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, because today again we have been massively pumping to the upside. However, right now we are finding some resistance in this big level of resistance, sitting from 99k all the way up to 100,000 US dollars in the Bitcoin price. In terms of support to the downside, I am going to move this trend line here slightly so it still lines up with this wick, but we also line it up with this bottom right here. And if we were to actually move further to the downside here, we could expect there to be some kind of support at about 96,000 US dollars. Apart from that, I wanted to check back in with my base case scenario that I've had here over the past week or so. So the base case expectation was simply that we would undercut these previous lows at about 92k one last time. We would sweep a bunch of liquidity here, and then from there we would reverse to the upside while also making a bullish divergence in the charts. And checking back in with this today, you can see that we did in fact undercut that low at 92k, swept a bunch of liquidity, and then from there we have actually created that bullish divergence as well, then breaking this resistance here. So yeah, this basically played out perfectly as expected, and I'm very happy that we have just been killing this market here, guys. First, we called this top here at about 107k, ended up going to about 108 before crashing to the downside, and now we were also able to get in very close to the low once again because of this base case expectation. So again, guys, make sure to turn on notifications for my YouTube channel so you do not miss any of these important update videos. Apart from that, we can check back in with this breakout pattern for Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame where we broke out from this falling wedge pattern. Currently, this is still targeting 100k in the Bitcoin price, and we are now very close to actually reaching that price target. Although, of course, we do need to take into consideration this area of resistance here. But regardless, we can simply take a look at this ascending trend line and basically assume that so long as we hold above this trend line, we will just keep making higher highs and higher lows for Bitcoin. Whereas if we were to now lose this as a level of support, that would be a bearish signal in the short term. And yeah, I would definitely start to look for support levels to the downside at that point. For example, we can take a quick look at the Fibonacci levels for Bitcoin. Currently, we're trading right on top of this 0.786 Fibonacci level, sitting at 98.2k. And if we were to lose that as a level of support, the next level of support to the downside is this Fibonacci golden bucket, sitting from 97,000 all the way down to 96.7k. I also want to give my opinion on this bearish head and shoulders pattern on the 1-day time frame that I'm seeing people talk about sometimes in my comments on YouTube. If someone would send me this head and shoulders pattern, dude, this is the most wonky, shitty looking fucking head and shoulders that I've ever seen in my life, bro. I do not think that this is a head and shoulders pattern. You probably just opened a short position here and now you're just getting wrecked on this move to the upside. So you're just ignoring all the bullish signals out there, and you just want this to break down so you can get a better entry, or so you can get some kind of like nice short trade or whatever. But look, man, this is simply not what the charts are telling me. I don't think this is a bearish head and shoulders. And I'm also not seeing those reversal signals in the charts just yet. In the short term, there are some bearish signals out there, like for example, this potential 1-hour bearish divergence. Also on the 15-minute time frame, we have a confirmed bearish divergence. So yes, short term, there are some considerations. For now, as you can see in the charts, the trend is simply up here. Now, if we check back in with this 3-month Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we took out a bunch more liquidity earlier today, and there is still some liquidity sitting at 100,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. At the same time, we do still have a bunch of liquidity sitting here at 90,000, but for now, I do not think we need to worry about this level of liquidity at 90k until we start seeing those bigger reversal signals, like losing some critical levels of support. Perhaps we're seeing more bearish divergences starting to show up on the lower time frames, the 4-hour time frame even perhaps. So until that actually starts to happen, I am not worried about the downside liquidity just yet. And I do think for now, as you can see in the charts, the trend is simply up here. Besides that, checking back in with the Bitcoin ETF flow tables, yesterday we saw another outflow from the Bitcoin ETFs, over $200 million worth of Bitcoin being sold. Most of that, in fact, coming from the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. And so long as these Bitcoin ETF investors keep dumping hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin on the market every single day, obviously this will have a downwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. Either way, this has been today's market update. If you want to check out my free trading course, I highly recommend you check out rt1m.com, where I will basically just teach you in about an hour or so all the basics of technical analysis, which I will leave a link to in the video description. But regardless, if you do end up checking that out or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.